Welcome to Parent Orientation to Special Education. This DVD was developed in response to a need identified by Heartland's Parent Advisory, which is composed of parents of students who currently receive special education services. The advisory felt that parents and families of children who have been newly identified as being eligible for special education services would benefit from having access to some information about special education services that their child may be receiving. The intent of this DVD is to not only help parents understand the purpose of special education, but also help parents understand how they can advocate for their child's needs and the process of developing and implementing their child's IEP, or Individualized Education Program. So let's start by looking at the purpose of special education. Once an individual is entitled to special education and related services, one of the essential purposes of the special education is to provide the student with what he or she needs in order to close the achievement gap between the student's current performance, or what he or she is doing right now, and expectations, what the school expects peers to be doing. Special education allows teachers, school staff, and parents to carefully plan the best ways in which to provide their student with what he or she needs in order to accelerate his or her educational growth. Special education is legally mandated by federal law. Special education provides for instruction to students who are found to have a disability and who are eligible for special education. This includes specially designed instruction that is designed to meet unique or individual needs of students or children. Instruction can occur in a school setting, or in some cases in the home setting, hospital setting, or another appropriate setting based on the student's individual needs. Students who are entitled to special education are guaranteed certain protections. You may hear some of the following terms: free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. Free means that special education services are provided at no cost to the parents. You may be charged the same general education fees that are charged to other parents, such as fees for extracurricular activities or lab fees. Appropriate means that your child's program must provide the right kind of services and enough service for your child to receive educational benefit. Educational benefit is a broad term that includes access to and progress in the same curriculum as other children, access to the same activities and settings as other children, and progress towards the goals set for your child. Least restrictive environment, or LRE, guarantees your child will attend classes, participate in non-academic or extracurricular activities, and receive services with children who are not disabled to the maximum extent appropriate. Special education and related services include instruction in academic areas, as well as services specific to motor skills, behavior skills, communication, vision, hearing, as well as others. The IEP developed for your child will be designed to meet his or her unique needs resulting from his or her disability. Remember, special education and related services are individualized to the student. Teams gather ongoing evidence of what the student specifically needs to be taught, how and where he or she best learns these skills. The plan for the type of services needed must be aligned specifically to the student's needs and constantly focused on narrowing and eventually closing the achievement gap between the student and his or her peers. Once a child is found to be eligible for special education services and parental consent for these services has been obtained, the team gathers to develop the child's IEP, or Individualized Education Program. The IEP is a document that is designed in a collaborative fashion and outlines the services that will be provided to the entitled student. The team will discuss a number of things during this planning time, including goals for the student, instructional services that will be provided to the student, including the amount of time for instruction, what skills or concepts will be taught during this time, where the instruction will occur, and who will provide the services to the student, as well as address other special considerations they may be required as a result of the student's disability. The Individualized Education Program, or IEP, is a legally binding document. This means that once designed by the IEP team, the program must be delivered as it is written. The IEP must contain descriptions of the instructional services that will be provided to the student, as well as accommodations, modifications, and specialized services required of the student. Accommodations and modifications are included in some children's IEPs in order to level the playing field for the student. Accommodations are alterations that allow students with disabilities to complete the same tasks as other students. They do not give an unfair advantage to the student. Accommodations do not change the expectations for the student's performance, but are steps that allow the student to perform to the best of his or her ability. For instance, if a student has difficulty with fine motor skills, the student may be allowed to recite his test orally rather than written in order to fully demonstrate the student's knowledge. A modification is a change to the curriculum or instructional level or expectations for the student. For example, your daughter's spelling list may reflect the skills she is working on, which may be different than the class spelling list. Modifications should be used cautiously, as they are changing expectations for your child. Specialized services may include transportation services related to the child's disability, modified physical education, as well as many other areas. It also helps us to know what an IEP is not. An IEP is not a lesson plan or a set of lesson plans the teacher will use. The IEP is a plan for providing instruction rather than the specifics of a lesson plan or a list of all the things the children will learn in school.
The IEP is a document that is designed in a collaborative fashion. The IEP team includes representation from the school. This typically includes the general education teacher, the special education teacher, the building administrator or other district representative, as well as other professionals who may contribute to the planning. In some cases, representatives from Heartland, such as psychologists, consultants, speech-language pathologists, or others, may be involved. IEP teams must include a parent or guardian of the student, and when appropriate, the student is also involved. IEPs are reviewed by the entire team at least once per year. IEPs may be reviewed and rewritten more frequently when needed. During the reviewed meetings, teams look at progress monitoring data, as well as other information available on each goal for the student to determine current progress and to determine future goals and needs. Instructional services are reviewed and revised as needed during these meetings. Goals are rewritten to plan for future growth during the IEP period, which is typically for 36 weeks or 1 school year. 5 types of IEPs exist. We will quickly walk through each type that may be developed for your student. We'll begin with initial IEP meetings. Initial IEP meetings are held after a full and individual evaluation and the determination of eligibility for special education services has occurred. The meeting in which a team reviews evaluation results and determines eligibility is often held in conjunction with the initial IEP meeting. This initial meeting must be held within 30 days of determining that your child needs special education and related services. After the initial IEP is developed, special education and related services are made available as soon as possible. The next type is IEP reviews. IEP reviews are conducted periodically, but must be conducted at least once per year. Your child's entire IEP must be reviewed and rewritten during this meeting. Typically, changes will be made to reflect the student's growth in both present levels of academic achievement and functional performance over the past year. This growth may have implications for goals, services, LRE decisions, and communication with the parents. Reevaluations of eligible individuals are required at a minimum every 3 years. Reevaluations occur to determine if your child is still eligible and in need of special education services. Reevaluations may require the collection of additional assessment information. If this is the case, you may be asked for written consent to collect this information. Amendments to IEPs facilitate changes that need to be made in the child's program that arise during the regularly scheduled annual review dates. Amending an IEP does not extend the duration of the original IEP. An existing IEP may be amended to make changes to a child's program, provided the team has collected and reviewed data sufficient to justify the proposed changes. Amendments to an existing IEP may be made at an IEP meeting, or if the parents and the LEA or AA agree, the amendments may be made to an existing IEP without a meeting. The final type of IEP is called an interim IEP. Interim IEPs may only be used for students who have already been determined to be eligible for special education services. Interim IEPs are used when the IEP team determines that it is necessary to temporarily provide special education, support, and related services to an individual. The interim IEP may be used when teams are finalizing an IEP or in the process of determining the appropriate services for the student. For example, when a student moves from a different state or in from a different district and a copy of the current IEP is not yet available to the team. Interim IEPs may be in place for no longer than 30 school days. Parent participation in IEP meetings is critical for successful development of the child's IEP. As parents, you bring a unique perspective of your child to the table. The IEP meeting will be scheduled at a time convenient for all team members. You will receive a meeting notice that states the time and location of the meeting. If this meeting time is not convenient for you, the notice will ask you to contact a representative of the school so that the meeting can be rescheduled. Your attendance and participation in the meeting is critical for successful IEP development. Please bring any questions you may have to the meeting and feel free to ask questions as they arise. You will be asked to provide input on your child's strengths, interests, preferences, as well as your hopes and dreams that your family has for your child. You may want to come prepared with some of these ideas. As a parent, you have the right to invite other individuals to the IEP meeting that you feel will be helpful for development of the plan for your child's education. This may be other family members, others who assist in the educational support of your child, or anyone else that you feel is appropriate to assist in the IEP development. Each IEP review allows teams to begin by taking a big picture look at the student's progress, remaining discrepancy or the gap from expectations, as well as the student's general needs. From this broad focus, the team then narrows the discussion to that of specific needs and plans for the child's services. During the IEP meeting, it is important for you as the parent to feel fully included in the process. Parents can serve as the child's advocate, indicating what you believe are your child's educational needs. The IEP team will use data available to determine the specific plans and goals for your child. Teachers continuously monitor students' progress towards IEP goals, and when a student is not making the expected rate of progress, the teacher may make a change to the instructional plan. It is important that you understand the data that is collected during the duration of the IEP. Be sure to ask questions as they arise. Some of the things the team will discuss include how do your child's skills compare to peer skills and the expectation the school has for your child's age. How and why goals are set, as well as what is being done to assist in closing the gap between your child's performance and expectations. Your child's teacher will share data or a graph with your child's progress towards each goal. To assist in understanding progress monitoring graphs, we will review 3 different scenarios. Let's begin by identifying, first, the goal line. In this picture, this goal line is indicated with a blue ascending or increasing line. This line indicates the progress the team hopes the student will make during the duration of the IEP. The red dots on this graph and the line indicate the student, in this case Dylan's, actual progress towards the goal. Notice, Dylan's progress is above the goal line. He is making more than adequate progress toward his goal. So the current programming is meeting Dylan's needs and he is closing the gap. In the second scenario, we again have the blue goal line. This time, Dylan's progress is along the goal line, indicating he is making adequate progress given his current IEP programming. In the third scenario, we again have the blue goal line. This time, Dylan's data is below the goal line. This would indicate that the current programming is not fully meeting his needs. If he continues with his current progress, he will not meet his goal, and he will not close the gap. It is vital that the team discuss changes to Dylan's educational plan that are targeted at increasing his progress. When reviewing your child's progress toward his or her goals, ask questions to help you understand the graph and the actual progress your child has made. Feel free to ask questions such as those on the slide in front of you. Ask as many questions as you need to help you understand your child's progress and the plans that are in place to help increase progress. By increasing your child's rate of progress, the team will be working toward closing the gap between your child's performance and expected performance. After the IEP meeting has taken place, parents should always feel comfortable calling your child's teacher or other IEP team members with additional questions you may have. You can expect to receive written progress reports of your students' growth throughout the year. Progress reports will be sent home at the same time as general education progress reports, or more frequently. Remember, IEPs are formally reviewed through a face-to-face meeting at least annually, but you may request a meeting or IEP review at any time to review and plan for your child's educational services. An important document related to special education is called prior written notice. Parents are notified in writing of changes to their child's special education services. Prior written notice must be provided upon initial entitlement to special education, as well as when the school or AEA proposes or refuses actions related to your child's special education, as well as at other times during special education. The prior written notice must be written in an understandable format and will include what the agency proposes or refuses, why they are proposing or refusing this, as well as the data to support these actions. Additionally, the form must include a description of any other options that were considered by the team. More information about prior written notices can be found by talking with your teacher or other representative of the IEP team.
The web address on the slide will connect you to the name of the parent and educator coordinator who provides service to your district. PEC coordinators work for Heartland. They work with parents, educators, and local school districts. They are parents of children or young adults with special needs, so they share a unique perspective with the families they serve. Please call your PEC coordinator for more information about what services they can help you with. The intent of this DVD was to help you understand the purpose of special education, how you can advocate for your child's needs, and the process for developing and implementing your child's IEP. You may contact your child's teacher or the AEA team with any questions or concerns at any time. You are the most important team member in the planning for your child's education. You are vital to the process.